Okay, so adding in a little bit of, yeah, so I'm gonna do a little bit of data validation here. Um, let's see. So yeah, let's see. There's a couple things I'm gonna have to do in order to get this to work. It's easy enough to catch the data, but I really want to put up some sort of message on the screen too. I mean, so um, getting the actual like, uh, you know, validation is pretty easy. We just do that try, and then catch exemption, exception, E. We can just do this kind of the setup, and then we are going to try and do this. And really, we don't need to do it for name because there's no real point in doing that. If you want to do something to like to make sure they're all letters or something, you could do that. That would be maybe an issue of complexity. Like make sure that all the characters are letters. And you could do it maybe in a separate method where you're going to loop through and check each value and make sure it's a character. Or make sure it's not like a symbol. And there's some ways you could get that to happen, but I'm not going to focus on that too much. I'm just going to focus on doing this one. So what we want to do is try and set the ID to be parse integer, parse integer of that, and of course, the problem here is this is expecting that it's going to that the value that you enter from here should be a number. And so it should be able to convert that number. But if you don't put that in there, you're going to get that error. So maybe just really quickly, what I want to do is system out print enter, or ID should be a number. Okay, so let's just try and run that. All right, so here we are in here, and let's see. Let me see if I put in letters, try and add student. ID should be a number down here. So hey, we still added the student, so maybe we don't want to do that. Yeah, so maybe we want to put the entire try, because this thing still added the student even though the ID was wrong, which is kind of good. Like it went past this and didn't break on us. But we might want to do, there's probably got to be a better way that we could do this. I'm just going to put all this in here for now. Probably a better way that we could organize this, but it seems like this should be fine. If it works, then we're going to do that. Otherwise, we're going to give an error. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any better ways we could do that. But I think that's okay for now. What we want to do, though, instead of this try-catch thing, what we really want to do is have some sort of display show up on the window. So what I'm going to do is go back into my secondary FXML, so like the actual layout for this. And as I go into here, maybe I want to have like a little blank text field in here, because that's where I'm going to start with not a text field, just a blank label. Put this maybe down here. See, I need to use my hierarchy to get me really making sure I'm putting it in the right spot. I want to put this in the H box like that. H box, no, not like that. I want it to be kind of as its own element. Can I put this? Yeah, how about right there? It's still going inside that. I want to have it like as a separate piece. I'm going to change the label here. Can I put this? Because I really want the label to be kind of maybe below this. I wonder if I can just orient this. I kind of want it to just be right below the ID, or I could put it like, maybe just for simplicity, maybe let's drag this up. Kind of put it right underneath the region, and then the label's right there. And then the label is going to be, remember how we did this before? We set this label to be blank to begin with. We need to have it just be, text is just going to be nothing, so we can delete that. Now nothing's going to appear there. And then what we can do is go into the code, and we need to make sure to give it a name. Where's that label? It disappeared on us. Error label. And so that way what I want to be able to do, okay, so we need to FXID in there. Let's save this. Okay, and now it's giving me some sort of error. I'm not sure. No injectable field found. Injectable field found. Oh, I'm not sure what exactly that means. Let's check this out, though. Let's see how this is going to work. Let's see if this does work. So we have it in the secondary. So we need to have a label in here, public label. And what did we say the name of that thing was? We called it the label, error label. Just be real clear that we're getting the right thing here. Label, dot. And we need to import that as well. And so what I want to do here is I just want to update this. I want to, if there's an error, then I want that thing to appear. And I want error label to be, let's set text to must enter a number for ID. Let's see how this is going to work. There. All right, moment of truth. Let's go to register students. Hey, must enter a number for an ID. Hey, and maybe what we want to do here is, yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of other things we could do in here. Just like aesthetically, as I do this, I see that maybe I don't want to, it's kind of annoying to have these things show up. So maybe I could like clear the fields, or I could just clear the ID field. Or let me see, there's one other thing that we could do in here. Let me see if I can get this to work. Okay, good. So I think that's about all we need to do. Too much for this data validation. Other things we could do in here, we could make sure string, yeah, again, check for characters, make sure they're all characters. We could check for making sure that it's not empty. That's probably the easiest one, or the biggest one we want to check for. Make sure they actually entered a name. But we can use that. Yeah, if it's going to produce an error that might break your code, this is a good try and catch. You can also use like if statements in some instances, like see if it's null. We could just probably just use an if statement in there. But yeah, so I think that's a really important thing that we can do for this, and start building our students, collect our students in an array list, and then we just need to be able to process them and show them on the screen.